Hello and welcome to Racers Now. We are now under 2 weeks until the first two classics of the British flat season, the 1000 and 2000 Guineas at Newmarket on the first weekend in May. And the trials are done and dusted. Well, trials in name only, really. Pretty underwhelming stuff. Firstly, reluctantly channeling my inner Nicky Henderson, having the Greenham and Fred Darling at Newbury exactly 2 weeks before the 2000 Guineas is too tight, to be fair. It doesn't land like this every year. There is usually 3 weeks between the Newbury meeting and the Guineas at Newmarket, but 2 weeks this year, depending on what Easter's doing, isn't enough time between the trial and the main event, in my opinion. And the 4 trials that we did have last week, 2 at Newbury, 2 at Newmarket, had very little impact on the anti-post markets. And that's what we cover here on Racers Now. We look forward to the Guineas and the Derby and all the big flat races well in advance of them happening. And now they're just under 2 weeks away. First up, the Gills. The most market prominent runner of the week was Dance Sequence for the Godolphin in the Nell Gwyn at Newmarket on Wednesday last week. She started the day as 4-1 joint favourite for the 1000 Guineas, actually supported in the run-up to the trials race, the Nell Gwyn, but finished the day available at 7-1 for the big race on Sunday, early May in Newmarket. That's because Dance Sequence finished second in the Nell Gwyn. But it wasn't a bad run, really. I didn't think so anyway. I think she did everything but win, to be honest, and virtually ran into the back of the winner coming out the dip, maybe showing a little bit of inexperience there. Charlie Appleby, for me, in his interview after, was uncharacteristically upbeat in his comments about Dance Sequence after the race, despite her just being beaten at odds on. Happy with the run, not at peak fitness, still learning on the job. Main target is in 2 weeks, etc., etc. We have heard it all before, but not usually from Charlie being so upbeat after defeat. She's still a big player in the 1000 Guineas, if you ask me, Dance Sequence. Obviously, we will find out on May the 5th. Pretty Crystal was the horse that finished in front of Dance Sequence in that Nell Gwyn, and she's not even entered in the 1000 Guineas at this stage, although she could be supplemented. She was tried last year for Richard Fahey in numerous races. She was actually beaten at listed level, so it was a surprise to the trainer that Pretty Crystal went on to win the Nell Gwyn, but she was clearly fit and ready to go. The trainer said as much, whereas Dance Sequence, I know it's an obvious excuse, possibly wasn't ready and ripe for that trial, with all eyes on the 1000 Guineas in a couple of weeks. The Fred Darling, which is the fillies trial at Newbury, was a blanket finish pretty much, where Al Malka looked unlucky not to win. I tipped her, and unfortunately, she had traffic problems. But if you watch the race back, I think that James Doyle, there was only 6 runners. They came down the stand side rail and they was bunched together. But I thought that she did pick up late on. She really did. Maybe when she was getting her act together a little bit. It was only El Malka's second start of her life. Maybe James Doyle thought the race was gone. And then she kind of picked up on her own accord, really, and that's when he had to steer around horses. So yes, visually she looked unlucky, but is she really going to be having an impact on the 1000 Guineas itself? I'm not sure. Regal Jubilee and El Malka are entered in the 1000 Guineas, but neither are likely to be threatening the winner's enclosure on that form, let's be honest. And I'll be half surprised if both of them turned up, to be honest. They might, but I'm not too sure. It is definitely early in El Malka's career. And the winner of the Fred Darling, Folgaria. First start for Marco Botti, imported from Italy, which he was one of the best fillies in Italy, but a racing nation that is on the decline, that is for sure. She is French Guineas bound. So we've got the first two, the 2 winners of the fillies trials for the 1000 Guineas are not entered in the 1000 Guineas at the moment. So that really tells you the story. And onto the 2000 Guineas trial, the story is pretty similar. Hartem was a visually very impressive winner of the Craven Stakes. And fair play. Richard Hannon had a great week and he's won the Craven Stakes there with Hartem by over 3 lengths. He was highly tried last year, this Hartem, with 9 starts to his name, behind City of Troy twice, tried in Group 1, won a Group 2, etc. He was priced up really as an exposed horse versus the untapped potential horses. We get a lot of that at this season. Godolphin went off favourite with Native Approach in that race and he disappointed. Like I say, Hartem more exposed than the others in the Craven, but did show that it was forming the book that came out on top. And like I say, winning by over 3 lengths. He is 25-1 for the 2000 Guineas on the back of that Craven win. So a 3-length win in a recognised and known trial, you would probably expect him to be shorter. But there's 2 reasons for that. It looked a very average renewal. And City of Troy remains top of the market and is dominating the market, let's be honest. In the 2000 Guineas, he is odds on and has been for some time. Hartem's win was not only a nod to City of Troy, given that Hartem finished behind him a couple of times last year, but also to stablemate Rosallion, someone who Hartem has not raced against in public. But Richard Hannon is adamant that Rosallion is the best 2-year-old he's ever had. More on those two later. Before we move on, has anyone seen or heard of the Leopardstown Guineas trials this year? What happened to them? I feel like there was only around 4 or 5 years. I'm pretty sure they took place last year, and I just can't find them. I just simply think they've been wiped off the map. Hopefully someone in the comments can tell me a good reason why the HRI over in Ireland have pretty much what looks like binned off the 2 trials. Usually used to be ran at Leopardstown over 7 furlongs. And maybe they've been a victim of the lack of Aidan O'Brien major contenders running in those races, because usually O'Brien and the Cornwall team just go straight to the Guineas with their contenders. And before we move on from trial weeks, I've got a little bit of a rant. Let's talk about racecourse gallops, and they should be banned. That racecourse gallops should be banned. We're seeing too many horses go straight to the Guineas. As I've just mentioned, Aidan O'Brien has been doing that for years, to be fair to him, but plenty of others are doing it this year. A factor is the closeness of the trials, which I mentioned earlier. Newbury, exactly 2 weeks away from the 2000 Guineas. That would be a factor. But horses galloping at Newmarket on the same day or within 24 hours of an official Guineas trial at Newmarket is plainly ridiculous. And that's what happened last week. The 4th, 5th, 6th, and 9th in the current betting for the 2000 Guineas all galloped at Newmarket Racecourse last week. Why are they not running in the Craven? I can't see a reason why they're not running in the Craven. They can get fit at home. You either run in the race or you stay at home. That's it. The now favourite for the 1000 Guineas, Fallen Angel, galloped at Newmarket. Actually, there was quite a few paying public there to watch her. That was less than 3 hours before the Nell Gwyn, the recognised trial at Newmarket for the 1000 Guineas at Newmarket. Less than 3 hours before that race took place, Fallen Angel had a trot up the straight at Newmarket. Why are Newmarket and the Jockey Club allowing this? It's a direct detriment to the racegoer on the day, because they don't get to see as good a renewal as the Nell Gwyn, and it's a detriment to punters looking to bet on the Guineas. Anti-post betting, on the day betting, because we have not seen Fallen Angel since last September. Others to do it last week, Iberon, there was Night Raider, and others for the 2000 Guineas. Fallen Angel, the most prominent in the 1000 Guineas market, all galloping at Newmarket on the same day or the day after trials. It's just madness. I mean, the old saying goes that the Guineas is the final 2-year-old race of the season, but that phrase was born out of the classics coming early in the season and early in a horse's 3-year-old career. Now it rings true due to the Guineas now becoming the first day of any description of these 3-year-olds, because they're going straight there with a racecourse gallops. I mean, the trials are there for a reason. Use them or don't. And I think it's had a direct effect even this year. There was only 6 runners in the Fred Darling at Newbury, because we've been letting people have racecourse gallops. That, the renewal of the Greenham Stakes wasn't great either. Won by a horse that's basically is not going to stay and won't be going anywhere near a Guineas. I just don't get it. And on these racecourse gallops, before we finally move on, any bookmaker employee that is cutting the price anti-post of a horse on the back of a racecourse gallop, or the accompanying comments from a trainer about the racecourse gallop, should be sacked. Bin off racecourse gallops. Bin off anyone who's cutting prices on the back of racecourse gallops. Rant over. So it is pretty much as you were in the anti-post markets, with the exception of Dance Sequence that was gone out from 4-1 to 7-1. Still a big player. In the 2000 Guineas, City of Troy is 8-11. As mentioned, he's been odds on for a while. Rosallion is 5-1 and shortening all the time. He was around, when I first looked at the Guineas on this channel, he was around 11 or 12-1. I said he was a cracking each way bet then. I think he is by far, and was at that stage and still now by far the second best horse in the race. anti-post wise. Obviously, he's behind City of Troy on form in the book, but he is in front of everyone else, in my opinion. What he did, Rosalien on Longchamp on Arc Day, was pretty special. And I think he could well be a top horse for Richard Hannon this year. And the good thing for Rosalien, even if City of Troy's a superstar and wins the Guineas and Rosalien second, City of Troy is then going to be going to races like the Derby. He's then going to be going to dirt. So it opens the season up for Rosalien to be mopping up all the other mile Group 1s. You could see him possibly over in Ireland for their Guineas. You could see him in the St. James's Palace at Ascot, Royal Ascot, round a bend. You could see him then stepping up to face his elders in the likes of the Sussex Stakes. So massive season for Rosalien. I think he could be very, very good. It's 12-1 or bigger. The rest at the moment in the 2,000 Guineas markets, including the racecourse gallop merchants, as I've mentioned. Ali and Arby, Night Raider, Ghost Writer, and Iberian all had racecourse gallops. I need to move on from racecourse gallops. The 1,000 Guineas is much more attractive betting race at this stage. Wide open, you could say, but I think it is more attractive of a betting race because I think, whisper it quietly, it could be a poor renewal, this 1,000 Guineas. I think it's possibly shaping that way. Remember, the champion 2-year-old filly from last year, Opera Singer, we are missing. I'm happy to take on Fallen Angel, who is 7-2. I've said that before. On the basis that I don't think the Moyglare form from last September, Group 1 at the Curragh, I don't think that form's up to much. And we're going to find out. Fallen Angel was shortened on the back of that. You know what? Last week. 9-2 Yilang is a solid enough, but not brilliant in my opinion. That's the Aidan O'Brien leading contender at this stage. To me, clearly inferior to her injured stablemate Opera Singer. 7-1 Dance Sequence. I've already mentioned her. Still very much a player despite defeat last week. Clearly, she needs to improve markedly on what she did on that Nell Gwyn run, but I think she could. Let's give the guys the benefit of the doubt that she wasn't fully tuned up for that. Why would she be? And I think she will come on and potentially be a big player on the day. She's only 7-1. It doesn't take a genius to work that out. 10-1 in the 1,000 at the moment is Ramatuel. This is the French horse that I was imploring a few weeks ago should be running. It looks wide open. She looks a good horse. She should be coming over to Newmarket and having a go at this. And all the signs are at the moment from Christopher Head, the young trainer over in France, is that she will come over. She'll stay the trip, in my opinion. A lot of people will ask questions about that. Only raced over 6 as a 2-year-old, raced over 7 in the Prix d'Imprudence over in France earlier, a couple of months ago, or in the last month or so. That was on heavy ground. That is a trial for their Guineas or ours. She went off odds on for that. Didn't settle very well early doors, which is a trait she's been doing, this Ramatuel, in her career. So hopefully she can settle better when we next see her. And I thought it was a typical French trial race, to be honest. Hardly touched in the latter end of the races. Hit the front. There could have been a battle on. She didn't battle. The jockey wasn't interested in battling, and she's lost by about less than a length. I think she's a big player. If she comes over to Newmarket, I think she'll stay the trip fine. That will be the biggest question mark over her. I think she's fine to stay the trip by Justify. Really good form in the Prix Mornay last year, where she went off odds on, but was beaten by Van Dijk. Horses like River Tiber, etc. in behind. She's got fantastic form. I think she'll stay. She obviously doesn't want it rattling quick ground, but the amount of rain we've had recently in England, maybe it won't be. But Newmarket does dry out very quick, and a lot can happen in 2 weeks on the Rolling Mile when it comes to sunshine and drying ground. 14-1, See the Fire is my long-term pick. I've mentioned her plenty of times before on the channel. A massive run for an unexperienced horse in the Fillies Mile behind Yilang. Hit the front too early, still inexperienced, etc. I think she'll get better with age. I think See the Fight is a big player, and I have backed her. Would have liked to see her running a trial. She's another one of these going straight to the Guineas. El Malka, Matrika, and Regal Jubilee have shown themselves not to be good enough on the evidence we saw last week in their trials. So that leads me to Skellet. Skellet is 33-1 currently, and I think she is the best value as we speak right now. I really do. I mentioned her a couple of weeks ago, although didn't put her up as an official bet. I am today. She was second behind Dance Sequence in the Oh So Sharp Stakes at Newmarket last October. A race which did not pan out in an ideal way for Skellet, who was at the front, probably reluctantly in a smallish field. She was at the front for a long time, and Dance Sequence came from the back and nabbed her on the line. But when Dance Sequence did come to meet her, just rising out of the dip at Newmarket, Skellet did stay on again. She certainly wasn't running out of gas. I just think tactically it didn't work out for her. The key with Skellet is that she was a very rare mid-season purchase by Juddmonte last September. She had her first 2 starts. She's by Kingman, who's a Juddmonte sire, and Juddmonte have come in and purchased her after her first 2 starts ahead of running in that oh-so-sharp stakes where she did run in those famous Juddmonte colours. I think that's a really big sign. They very rarely do that. It's not often Juddmonte actually buy horses at open sales, never mind one that's in training. So she's an intended runner, impeccably bred. There's a few to come out of this anti-post market, in my opinion. Those I've mentioned, Almalka, Matrika, and Regal Jubilee, they're shorter in the market at the moment than Skellet. I'm not even sure they will run. And even if they do, Skellet's better than them, in my opinion. So at anti-post at the moment, 33-1 is only going to go one way in the next 2 weeks, in my opinion. I can see her going off half that price on the day. Easy, definitely. She's around 40 on the exchange, 33-1 on the fixed odds. I am happy to advise Skellet as a bet for the 1,000 guineas, 1 point each way at 33-1. And oh yeah, if you're still here, last weekend, SD and I were throwing in winners all over the show. 20-1 winner from me on Metal Merchant. SD had a 15-2 and 6-1 winners at Ayr, which leaves me in front now, plus 20 points, but SD's plus 10.5 points as well. We'll cover this Thursday, but let's be honest. We've been going since March the 22nd, 79 points staked between us and 110 points returned. Not bad for 2 plonkers doing the Races Now coverage from the front room. So there's plenty to look forward to. Really looking forward to the Guineas. Skellet is a bet at 33-1, and we're sure to be back soon with more anti-post bets on here on Races Now. Thank you.